What are you waiting for?
For you to be quiet. I'd like to call to order the Charter Township of Oxford Planning Commission regular meeting Thursday, December 8th, 2016. Would you please rise and pay your respects to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Secretary, would you please note the roll since we don't have a recording secretary?
Oh. Alrighty. Berger.
Oh, present.
Curtis.
Here.
Unwick here. Rosner.
Here.
Spiz.
Present.
Young.
Here.
Mr. Bell.
Here. We have a quorum. Look for a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular planning commission meeting agenda for Thursday, December 8th, 2016.
Support.
It's been moved by Curtis, supported by Mr. Spiz. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular planning commission meeting minutes of November 10th, 2016.
Support.
Been moved by Mr. Curtis, supported by Mr. Young. Any discussion of that motion?
I have discussion, I know I brought this up with you before, with the excuse for absences. Generally, I mean, I looked at our bylaws too, the excuse would be if you were at another government function. Other than that, if you're absent, you're absent. And so, I know
What do the minutes reflect?
it says Berger excuse. and
Yeah,
says
it does say that.
Because of notice, because you gave me
I
notice.
gave you notice
Right.
ahead of time.
Yeah, but whether you give notice or not, it's still absent. Our bylaws, I mean, don't say, excused is
No.
generally when you're at another thing for the same community. Like if I was at
Nah,
something for zoning board,
okay, I'm not gonna split hairs over it. I don't care how it reads. Anybody want to make a change to it?
No. No.
I'm just trying to follow our bylaws.
Our bylaws don't say it,
Yeah,
though.
they do, they actually do.
Do you know the section?
Absences.
I just happen to
I
have
mean,
a
if you
copy
want,
here.
we can address it maybe later in the meeting,
Fine.
at the end.
I wasn't here.
Pull it up.
I was absent. Not absent-minded, but I was.
I'm kind of more in section D. Where did I see it? $99. It's 380 auto. I'll turn red.
I mean, rather than wait, I can, one hand, I can bring it up, talk about it at the end.
Mr. Chair, I can be absent. It doesn't. If someone wants to make that.
Just as a point of understanding, I want to find it.
Do we need to do that now, or can we come back next week?
That's what I'm saying, I'm willing to come back, I mean, I'm willing to leave it as it is, but I do want to
I'd
discuss
call the
this.
roll.
You mean you call the question?
Yeah.
Yes.
So are we making a change to the?
No.
No? Okay, all those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll come back to it. Public comments on items not scheduled for public hearing. There's nobody in the public. We'll move on. Commissioners' comments? Let's start with Ms. Rosner.
Other than what I just said, I have nothing else.
Okay, Mr. Hunwick?
I don't have any comment.
What's that?
I don't have any comment.
Okay,
right now.
Mr. Berger?
I just wish everybody a very Merry Christmas.
Or is it more politically correct to say happy holidays?
For me, Merry Christmas.
That's what I thought. Okay, just checking.
No comments for me.
Okay. Mr. Young?
None at this time.
And Mr. Curtis, how the legs feel today?
Good.
Okay, any
Hey.
comments?
Yeah, what were we looking under the bylaws for? I'll look it up.
He's got a copy.
I got a
here.
copy right here, I just can't find it.
I don't want to read it all tonight. I want to read the whole thing. What
Here,
is
you want a
it?
copy?
Actually,
Sure, I have a copy.
Thank you.
I got another copy here.
That's all I have.
Okay. All right, I have none. Public hearings, we have none. Unfinished business, Hills of Oxford, Indian Lake Road Safety Path. Mr. Curtis, would you like to tell us why we're back here for this?
Yeah, what happened was during one of our planning commission meetings, we expressed to Jim Clark that if we weren't going to put the safety path in along Indian Lake Road, that we would consider recommending to the township board a pay in lieu of, cash in lieu of. And the policy for doing that has been determined that we need a recommendation to the township board to accept a cash in lieu of payment as determined by Sharp Engineering. And that recommendation has to be from this board to the township board. And no consideration for that was done at the time. The misunderstanding went on for 5 months, and we're at the point now that we need to either recommend or not recommend to the Township Board of Trustees pay cash in lieu of on the Safety Path Fund.
Okay, so I've come up with a way around this in the future, or we can rewrite our ordinance, because I don't like the way it reads, and I don't like having to call a special meeting for us to come back here to make this kind of action and delay somebody with another meeting. So we've got two choices, and I'm going to run this, Matt, I didn't run this past you, but I ran it by Mr. Sharp.
Okay.
So I asked Mr. Sharp, from now on in his review, to include a cost estimate for the safety path. That way, when we make our motion, we can approve the final site plan as it's drawn, because we can't approve a plan without a safety path on it, and we can make a condition that if they choose to do in lieu of, the planning commission would recommend that they pay what Mr. Sharp says estimate in lieu of, and then we're done. Or we rewrite our estimate, our ordinance, so that, because it clearly says that we must make a recommendation to the township board on the in lieu of safety path.
Can I ask one question?
You know, everybody can ask a
And
question. Hold on,
if-
go ahead.
And it may not refer to anything regarding what the township's board decision is, but then does that money strictly get used for safety path funding?
It goes into the safety path fund. What it gets used for is, I don't know, but it definitely goes in the safety path fund.
So then that is then authorized by the people from that group.
Which have to go to the board to get the final approval. They're only a recommending body.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Curtis?
There's three things. One, Supervisor Dunn saw this after 5 months and saw the 20-some emails that were going around on it, and he said that our ordinance was bad and we should change it or come up with a better way. So he recommended that. But number two, to answer Tom's question, there's two funds. One is maintenance and one is build.
Oh, okay.
And this will go into the build fund.
Okay.
Not the maintenance fund. Maintenance is funded by the general fund.
Okay.
They allocate money from the general fund to the safety path maintenance fund, and then that is used to repair. The safety path fund is for construction.
All right, so Matt, you heard what I had to say. Which do you think is probably more appropriate?
Well, with the fee estimate, would they be bound to that exact number, or is that subject to change? You know, if Jim Sharp's gonna write it, could they object to that fee? Could that bring up some issues and some potential problems with arguments about how much it costs and so forth?
We are only a recommending body, so we're not giving approval on the cost. Mr. Sharp is responsible to make sure that the in lieu of cost is accurate. It's an estimate at the time, I suppose. So we're only recommending that they can use the vehicle of in lieu of. We're not saying that, we are putting the dollar amount in there, but it's not, we're not bound by that. We're only bound by making the recommendation of in lieu of. Who's next?
I believe that what happens is that when they find out they can build the path cheaper than what the recommendation for the proposed estimate is from our engineers, they will build the path. Or they will put the money in lieu of, if they find out the path's gonna cost them more than that. So I leave it up to the petitioner who's ever
Yeah, I
developing
mean,
within
I
the
think
town.
that would be adequate if you show them your estimate, and then they look at their options, they realize what has to be done,
think
what's the
it's a
better
good plan.
option for them, so.
But do you agree with, we can leave the ordinance as is? Mr. Sharp can add it to his review, and when we do a final site plan, we just add the caveat in there.
Yeah, I
the
think if
motion
you
that says-
just clearly state it as a condition to
Yes.
the site plan, I think that would be fine.
Because the approved site plan has to have the safety path on it.
Right.
So as far as we're concerned, when we approve a site plan, the safety path is on there, that's the route you must go. But conditionally, if you choose to use the vehicle in lieu of, then we recommend to the safety path and the township board that the fee of X from Mr. Sharp's letter, written in there, is so much, you can use it.
I think it's fine as long as you clearly state it as a condition.
I like that idea.
It'll be part of the review letter.
Yeah,
Right in there, so most of the time you just reference our review letter anyway. The petitioner will be here for the site plan, so that will be his opportunity to say which direction he wants to go.
So instead of spending a few pennies to thousands of dollars or whatever to rewrite the ordinance and republish and all that stuff.
Right.
I know we're in the middle of doing a bunch of those, but just, I think we can handle it conditionally, and as long as we're all on the same page with it, we're all good with it. I'd
Yeah,
like to see it.
And I think it will certainly remove a layer of bureaucratic red tape of them coming back in the future and so
Right.
forth, you know?
Okay?
Ready?
So this,
I should just want to, I actually like that idea, because one of my concerns is how do you track when they opt out, because it is still on the plan. You know, we've run into this in the past where we're trying to go back in time, 5 years, 10 years from now, try to determine, okay, why
a
isn't
good
that
point.
safety path in there? If we're gonna do it this way, it's a good document trail that we can go back and review and say, okay, it was part of the original site plan with the condition.
Site plan approval.
Well, still gotta be
So we
approved by
have
the township board.
it's
Yes.
still gotta be.
Yeah, I know, but it's
So
still
you're
not,
gonna have a
never,
tracking record,
but it's
right?
never always a clean, easy tracking record.
Yeah, okay.
So what you're saying by having them come back like right now for this meeting is a clear tracking record that
No,
they're,
I'm saying by doing it the way you mentioned,
with the condition,
with the condition, but because it's part of
the record
The
of the
record.
motion.
at the motion with the
Got
site
it.
plan.
Okay.
So I think that's a better way, so,
All right.
okay.
Mr.
I'm
Curtis?
okay.
We've already lost 5 cash in lieu ofs
Because of this.
because that we didn't know the policy and we had no communication that you will do this and or this. And right up front, if a developer sees they have to pay $7,000 for the path and they determine they can put it in for 5,
Well-
they're gonna put it in.
Okay.
If they don't, we've got a record.
All right, so here's my problem with that whole thing. Hold on, keep your thought. How did they ever get a final building without having a safety path installed?
They got a permit, they just can't get a C of O.
No, but they're 5, he's talking
They
about.
can't get a final certificate of occupancy,
Right.
so they should not be occupying their building.
They aren't. Oh, the 5 that did?
Yeah.
Because nobody tracked it.
Yeah.
Nobody made a recommendation that you will pay cash
No,
in
no.
lieu of, and we
No,
approved
no,
it.
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. If the path isn't in, they don't get a C of O,
Correct.
period. Now, if they walk in with a $45,000 check and go, I need my C of O, I'm not putting my safety path in, oh, we can do that.
This will be your guiding,
I understand that,
that's,
but I get that, but I'm still at a loss of how we lost those
I can't
5.
answer those questions.
They should not get a C of O and be able to occupy the building if their site plan is not finalized.
The only way
Complete.
duct tape
Complete.
fixes this problem is if I
Accordance
put it
with
in
the
my
approved
ears.
site plan.
Okay,
Is that a new one?
go ahead.
Yep.
I don't want to lose.
So, a developer, builder takes the in lieu of option and puts the money up front and says, I'll just pay the 10 grand, whatever you,
X amount of dollars.
Right.
Yep.
well, who puts the path in?
Nobody.
Nobody.
We're recommending they don't have to put it in.
Or the safety path committee might put it in down the road.
With
In the
the
future.
dollars that they got in the bank.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe it doesn't make sense to put the safety path in. It
I'll
could be
give
out
you an
on Hummer
example.
Lake Road.
I'll give you an example. RLM on Hummer Lake Road.
Dirt road, 2 dirt roads.
2 dirt roads. Never gonna put a safety path in there. I don't know, not in my lifetime. That's- Doesn't matter, but the fact is that they determined weren't gonna put it in. They had no recommending board telling that they were gonna pay cash in lieu of to follow the ordinance. They just got their C of O.
So there's some instances where if
5 have
you
happened.
gave them in lieu of a number that they may, they could look at and say, well, we could do it for that price or cheaper, because you don't really think the safety path belongs there, but you want the money anyway?
We cannot approve a site plan without a safety
Right,
path drawn
I
on it.
understand that.
They must put it in.
No.
We give them a vehicle for instances such as this out on Hummer Lake Road, RLM. Let's just say the number was 45 grand for argument's sake, that they could, Mr. Sharp provided the estimate, that they could come in and pay the $45,000 so
Right.
we can use it to extend a safety path out here that we need instead of one out on Hummer Lake Road,
Okay.
right?
I got it.
So now we're going to use the vehicle. I didn't see everybody agree with the condition idea? We're all right with that? And Mr. Sharp, you're good with putting the estimate together
Yes,
on your review letters?
absolutely.
Mr. Spiz?
My only comment would be, I think I believe everybody here agrees as you stated, but how do you ensure going forward, a year, 2 years from now, if some of us change, that still is the process? It needs to be written down somewhere. Just
Put it
saying,
in the bylaws?
somewhere you
It can't be in the
put-
PC bylaws. It's got to, it's got to be, now we're changing, now we got to update the ordinance.
That would be an ordinance change.
Right.
But if you're changing it anyway.
So if we're changing the ordinance,
Just a question.
Just, to me, because
My
if that's gonna be our
legs are still
long-term
sewn on.
Well, he's
procedure.
right, it's a policy that has to be established somehow.
then we might as well rewrite the ordinance to,
And it's,
so that it falls on the township board to, we don't recommend it because as a PC, we have to approve the plan with the
With the
site,
path
with
on it,
the path on it,
or the amount of cash in lieu of.
Yeah.
which has to be approved by the township board. That needs to be, then we need to rewrite the ordinance if what Mr. Spiz is saying.
Might be only a sentence needed.
Bill's aware of it.
All right, so scrap it, Jim. You're not gonna provide the estimate. Matt, you're gonna,
just do all that.
You can still do the estimate. I think the ordinance would just have to be written for procedural.
Yeah, I still like
Standpoint.
Yeah.
Jim providing an estimate.
at the
Other-
time of final site plan?
Right, otherwise, how do you know
that's
the
a good
number?
Then you
is
know what it
correct?
is.
Then
Okay.
you know what it is.
Then you
Right.
know what you're negotiating.
All right,
You just changed it.
still do that, Jim. You'll rewrite a draft and you'll bring it into us in January?
Sure.
Okay,
I think it should be about the site plan approval.
all right, we all good?
Agreed.
So,
It's either
we need to
on
make
there or
a,
In lieu of is on the drawing. That's a no,
I'm not against that.
one or the other.
I'm not
Your
against that.
path is either on the site plan or as a drawing note, your in lieu of is
No.
on there.
No. the plan
Review letter.
has to show the safety path.
Yeah, or you can't estimate.
Or
the
we
cost.
can't prove it.
Right.
And we can't approve it, and Mr. Sharp wouldn't be able to give an estimate on it.
Right.
So it's got to be drawn, it's got to be approved that way. Then they go to the township board and say, hey, we don't want to put this thing in, it doesn't make sense, whatever their hardship is. We want to pay what Mr. Sharp says, away we go.
Okay.
All right?
I'll
That
make,
way they don't have to come here. I think Mr. Curtis has a written motion from
Yes.
the right.
I move to recommend to the Oxford Township Board of Trustees to allow Robertson Brothers, the developer of Oxford Hills South, to contribute an amount of $6,976 to the Safety Path Fund as determined by the construction cost estimate from Sharp Engineering, and a written contract shall be executed by Robertson Brothers and the Charter Township of Oxford as a condition of final site plan approval.
I'll support.
Been moved by Mr. Curtis, supported by Mr. Spiz. Discussion of the motion, Ms. Rosner?
The only thing I'd like to see reworded is it's not a contribution, it's payment in lieu of.
I agree.
I hate to use the word contribution because that can be challenged.
I use the word contribute an amount, yes.
Yeah, and instead of contribute, I would say,
Cash
place
in lieu
payment
of.
in lieu of.
Payment in lieu of not cash.
Construction.
Payment in lieu of will be amended to my motion versus the word contribute.
I amend my support. Or support.
It's been, an amendment motion has been made, it's been resupported by Mr. Spiz. Is there any further discussion of that? Hold on. What? You got discussion of your own second?
Yes.
Okay,
My turn?
yeah.
All right. What was the number? 6,900 and something?
$6,976.
Question is, can we put it in for that price? We as a township.
I wouldn't.
Michael, this is given to us by our cost
I'm
construction
asking the
estimate.
Yeah, there we
question.
go.
Mr. Sharp, is that a real number?
It is a real number.
It's a real number, Michael.
It's 140 feet of path,
So if the township wanted to put it in today, we would pay pretty close to the
7,000
same
bucks.
price.
Probably get it cheaper.
Okay.
Because in the estimate, which, I mean, I'm not gonna give this to you guys in our
Yeah.
review, but we do, a cost of the asphalt and the stone and so on. But there is costs in there for engineering design, for construction layout, for surveyors, for inspection, so there's professional services built in there as well.
Okay, thank you.
That's $6 a square foot.
Okay.
So, in my opinion, that clearly covers the cost to put that in. That's grading, staking, install, and that's asphalt, so asphalt's only about, it's got base underneath there. I think that's fair.
Okay.
I buy that number.
Does it make sense to establish a cost per square foot?
No, because every condition is different. There may be berms, there may be
Boardwalks,
there may be bridges, there may be retaining walls, tree removals.
we do look at
Swamps.
each site kind of
Yep.
independently, if one looks a little bit easier, because it's right alongside of a roadway that's,
Flat.
flat and wide open,
Right, right.
versus one that's got a lot of grading aspects, so we do
Right.
kind of look at them individually as well.
Okay. Somebody else have their hand up? We got a amended motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by stating aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
I'll turn this back in with the correction stating payment in lieu of in the amount of.
They got it on tape. I don't think you have to, but you can. You gonna be there tomorrow?
I'll give it to him tomorrow.
You sign this?
Yeah.
Will you give him that tomorrow too? Will you pass that
Yeah.
down? All right. Ordinance Review Subcommittee. Talk to me.
Oh, would you like a report?
I'd like a really thorough and detailed report because
I'm gonna read the bylaw.
the Ordinance Review Subcommittee was challenged back in January of last year by this chairperson that we had many, many ordinances that this body, not me, this body came up with that we needed to get moving on, and nothing has been brought forth to this planning commission. I'm getting a little antsy over here with the status of where we're at, so
Well,
I
I mean, to be fair, we reformed and we did meet, we got direction, we needed direction back from the planning commission for that. And then we hadn't really had a regular meeting, we had skipped a couple, so, here to go over some of this. So I wasn't able to make the last meeting last week and they met. They can
Yesterday.
update- Yeah, yesterday.
Well, I thought Mike and I made some significant progress yesterday, and we,
true.
Being novices with this process, we're both trying to learn, and we got some input from Deanna Burns while we were there, and we missed Matt. Apparently, you were in the building when we were there, and we missed you by a few minutes, and you were gone. So we have a meeting set up for next Wednesday to have Matt review our notes from yesterday and to go forward with additional ordinance that we didn't cover as of yet. We met for almost 2 hours.
Can I give the ordinance review subcommittee a little tidbit of when I used to sit on it? One of the things we used to do on the low-hanging fruit ones, not talking about the complex ones, the easy ones, is we'd have the planner do a draft for us first of what the issue was. That way, at least we had a basis to start debating and discussing and how we wanted to word. At least we had a starting point. Instead of trying to wordsmith it between ourselves, we relied on an expert planner to draft the language just to get us started. Doesn't mean we had to accept it, but that's how we got the ball started. On the low-hanging fruit ones. And I think we know do we all understand what I mean by low-hanging fruit? Which ones? Okay, all right.
Yep.
So I think that's, this planning commission in 2015 had several that we came up with that we thought were very important to get done quickly because we didn't want cases coming to the ZBA that we saw repeatedly. We saw some planning commission items that came forth that were ordinances that need to be tweaked, and I really think we need to concentrate and get those done quickly. So I'm asking you guys, imploring you to get together and let's start getting those out. A rough draft from Matt would be a great start. You guys finish them, bring them to here, we can discuss them, and then we can move forward on them. I'd like to start seeing a couple every meeting, and remember, we are now going to be meeting twice a month starting next year, with the master plan being the second meeting, I think I said?
Right.
Okay?
Knowing
So-
we were doing that, we were kind of relying on, we were forming that list that we did, the priorities list, but we're kind of trying to coordinate that master plan review with the ordinance rewrite. And so some of the information we're getting upcoming is going to be integral to what we're doing with the ordinance review.
I'm sure of that, but I'm also sure there's a lot on that list that is going to have nothing to do with the master plan. I remember looking at the list. I saw it in an email the other day.
Right.
So,
Same list we were.
Matt, you agree that we can knock some of those off?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the larger ones could be related to the master plans, but there
Right.
are very detailed ones that wouldn't be mentioned
Yeah.
within the master plan.
I'm talking the ones where you're going to strike a word and you're going to add a sentence and change a definition and change page numbers and paragraph, those easy ones.
Yeah,
That's the ones I want to get.
we've got some of those ready for him,
Okay,
for him to review.
okay, perfect. So when are we meeting with Matt?
Wednesday,
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock? You guys don't have day jobs?
not me.
Okay.
I'm retired.
All right, cool. Thank you. And, you know, I know I'm being a little pushy on this issue, but it's important stuff that we need to get done.
That's clear.
Okay, and I'm not saying you guys aren't doing your job. I'm just prodding you along to get it done, all right? Because it's important. You ought to see me at the office if you think that's pushy. Okay, no new business, violation report. As you noticed, your packet this week or this month, this meeting, was kind of all together as one scanned PDF. It wasn't sectioned out like it normally was, so you kind of had to root through your stuff to see the violation report. Anybody got any issue on the violation report? Okay. Acreage lot split committee?
We haven't split anything in the last month.
Didn't you comment on the combination and stuff that was done previously in the lot split? From I wasn't at the November 10th meeting,
We did it
Yeah,
at the last.
but I know that he brought it up and told you, and the last meeting they
Right.
had was on October 26th.
Right.
Yeah,
So there hasn't been
Okay.
anything since then.
we're square.
Okay, we're square. Economic Development Committee, Mr. Curtis?
We are still, we are meeting, we're not meeting January 3rd, I think it is. What's that first, I think it's the 3rd.
I think you're right.
Yeah, but we have been meeting, we met last night with, in fact, the village member of the economic development from the village was here last night, listening in to what we do and how we do it. We're still continuing to work on our talking paper, PowerPoint presentation to show prospective developers what is going on in Oxford right now. Other than that, we're moving forward with some other ideas on getting the real estate back on our website and a review of our website.
Okay? Thank you.
You're welcome.
At any time, any of the planning commission members come up with an idea for an article for Automation Alley, you'd like to see it in your email box?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
That was a makeup.
Gravel inspection. We completed the gravel inspection. It hasn't been in our packet yet. I think Deanna was tweaking some things, so it should be in our January packet. We will have a meeting second Thursday in January. We have to. We have to have election of officers and all that stuff, and I think there's something coming up. Something coming up. Have you seen something for,
Talking to me or talking to
yeah, you, for January?
No, he's not
Have you done,
talking to me.
I saw a review from Mr. Sharp on something.
Yeah, there's a rezoning.
Was that what your review was on that rezoning? Okay,
Yeah,
All right.
yes.
so that's coming up in January probably?
Yeah.
All right, okay, so there definitely will be a meeting.
I do have a question regarding your gravel inspection, just a question.
Mhm.
You guys do it from the air?
No, land, air, and sea.
I just wanted to let you know, as a member of the TV board, we have authorized the purchase for a
Drone?
drone.
Nice.
So the drone will be made available for the
Cool.
community and the government agencies that need it.
I can tell you that the use of the Oakland County helicopter is, I can't put how much value that is on gravel inspection. That is, we do everything from the ground first, and then we go up in the air, we take photographs and we look at everything, and I'm telling you, it is 10 times more valuable, I don't know, maybe even more than that, from the air. It's incredible.
And when, it hasn't, date hasn't been set yet,
For what?
gravel inspection?
It's done. I'm waiting for Deanna to finish some paperwork. I'm surprised it wasn't in this packet, so it'll be in January's packet.
When was it done?
I don't, I can tell you. Let me go back in my calendar. October 30, it was right around Halloween. Give me a second. I'll find it.
Ghoulish.
Whoops. I just had it.
You want me to
I
find
think it was the 28th.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's 39.
It's a beautiful day.
It's not on my calendar.
You got it.
Well, make sure it's the same.
Jack, do you remember when the gravel inspection was done?
Sure, I'll look for you, Todd.
Because I got it out, I got my calendar open. I could have swore it was the 28th.
Well, just give me.
Maybe it
2
was in
seconds
November.
here, I'll be right with you. It was in October. Okay, let's see. Okay.
It was the 21st.
Friday, October 28th at 8 a.m.
And so that meeting, it wasn't noticed and it wasn't open to the public?
It was noticed.
I didn't see it come through.
I thought
I didn't think that was an
it's,
open meeting.
it's not an open meeting.
It's not an open meeting. It doesn't
It's not
violate the open
to the
meeting, but it was
public.
published,
It's
I
not an
remember.
open Meeting.
Well,
Just like the safety,
We went through
or,
this 2
if you
years
guys
ago.
deliberated and made a decision in a report, it very well could be an open meeting.
We went through this 2 years ago, and we can go through it again. I'll have Mr. Dunn quote what was quoted by Rentrop as an open meeting. It is not an open meeting.
but I do know it was noticed at least 3 days in advance, and I think we only have to meet 24 hours on a
18.
subcommittee meeting. Okay, we're not going to talk about ordinance review, we just did, up under 10, or 9B. Safety Path Maintenance Committee.
We're meeting tomorrow, and we'll get an update. We haven't met since November of 2015.
You're going to meet tomorrow?
Yes, 9 o'clock.
Okay, would you be maybe talking about Hills of Oxford, Indian Lake Road Safety Path tomorrow morning?
We will.
Good. Water and sewer?
Oh, yes, we're continuing to move forward. Jim, maybe you want to talk about the bid process, where we're at. We've got, we're in for requests for permits,
For the
Lake Villa.
Lake Villa water main project. Yeah, we've submitted the plans. It's at the state, the MDEQ for their approval. And once that, they come back and give us a permit, then we'll go out for bids for that project. We're anticipating getting that sometime, hopefully before the Christmas holiday here. Advertising and bidding the project in January. By the time we get to the township board meeting in February and get the contract signed, we're probably looking at early March start date on that project.
We're still trying to determine allocation of funds from which accounts and how to pay for this total thing. We have all the easement documents drawn up. I should have a document back tomorrow for Koenig, and the school is on the desk. We met with Crossroads for Youth, and the DEQ the DNR has theirs on their desk. So we've got all the easements out.
Zoning Board of Appeals? No meeting? Village Planning Commission?
There was, last meeting was canceled.
Okay. Mr. Lonnerstater,
I have no report, but I wish you all Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
thank you.
Those I won't see next week.
Same to you, thank you. All right, Mr. Sharp?
Nothing further to add unless anybody else has questions about the construction, the status of any of the projects that are out there. I'd be happy to answer those.
Anybody know when TSC's opening is going to be?
February
February now?
is their grand opening.
I thought they were going to do a soft opening.
They were trying to, and some of the awning parts weren't coming in on time. They just got those in and installed. So they were trying to get, they do their things in steps. When this is done, this starts. When this is done, this starts. The awning was out 2 weeks.
Okay.
So they're 2 weeks behind on a soft opening.
Okay, I was going to say, weren't they trying to open?
Trying to open December 15th.
Yeah, before Christmas.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay. Did you find the part in, before I adjourned, did you find the?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was going through our bylaws, but also the planning and zoning acts, and it's really the word excused, because excused requires a unanimous vote. If you're using the word excused. If you want to put with notice, I don't have a problem with that, but it's the word excused, because the chair doesn't have the authority to excuse someone from a meeting. Everybody has to go because we're appointed by the township board, and so only the township board can excuse. It's really just semantics. It really should say with notice, if you're going to do that.
They're required to tell me, the chair, excuse me, not
Right.
me. There is a requirement in the bylaws that if you're not going to attend the meeting, that you give notice
Right. And
to the
that's-
chair.
That's where I said the word notice, I have no problem with using with notice, but it's the word excused, because you don't have,
So,
nothing personal, you don't have the
I know,
right
I understand.
Authority as
But did
chair.
you find anything in the bylaws about absence?
about excused, that requires a unanimous
In the bylaws, it says.
What that
Yeah.
says is voting, under voting,
under voting.
if you don't mind.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
read
not
it.
absences. I read the part under voting.
Roll call votes shall be recorded. Number 5, any member of the commission shall be excused from discussing or voting. Number 6 states, on all other issues, each member who is present is required to vote unless excused by the unanimous consent of the remaining
Got it.
members.
Nothing about the meeting, though. Got it.
I'm on page
I
7
got it.
right
I know, I read that earlier,
It's
but I saw nothing about
3.7.
absence from the meeting.
6, but my problem was with you were excused. It's not,
If,
you're expected to come to a meeting because you're appointed, and you're appointed by the
Correct.
board, and you serve.
right, and if you don't give me notice, you're not excused, and I will not take exception to that until somebody proves me different. So that's
But
where I'm
it's
leaving
not
it.
Excuse. You
3.6.
can't excuse, and I'm going right from the zoning act too. You can't excuse.
Prove me
a
wrong.
member.
Because I'm not buying it. I will excuse or I will not excuse somebody
So if
if I
someone
don't
is
get
just
notice.
busy for 7 meetings in a row, you're going to excuse them because they give you notice?
Yes. If
You
they give
can't
me
do that.
notice that they can't make it, if they go 7 meetings in a row, I'll be talking to the supervisor.
Then you need to define what excused means, because you're adding a whole new class here of the word.
I disagree. If I get
We have
notice,
in our-
it's an excused notice.
Ours that you have to attend the meetings. That's what you're supposed to do. If you miss so many.
Does it say that in the bylaws?
Isn't there a provision in here if you miss so many meetings? Attendance?
I'm asking you. You seem to know it better than I do, so I thought
Going
I'd
fast,
ask
and I
you.
don't see that.
I mean, my problem is I have 2 boards, and so, doing on both, and I'm sure Jack has the same thing. You've got it for each group, but generally you're required to go.
I think when you take the oath of, when you take your oath, it is the understanding that you will attend and uphold the Constitution of the United States, the state constitution, the, what do they call it, the Oakland County, what's Oakland County? It's not a constitution, Oakland County,
No, it's not charter.
no, what are their rules, their laws, their,
What they promulgate?
No,
No.
ordinances.
When you're.
we have ordinances, they have,
No, they also have ordinances.
yeah, they have something else.
When you're
Anyway.
excusing someone, you're basically saying, I'm excusing you for coming for the meeting, and that means I'm excusing you from having to vote on that issue. And in our bylaws, it says any member
No,
of
no,
the
no, no, no,
commission
no, no,
shall
you're,
be
you're,
excused.
you're, no, now you're missing semantics.
No,
You're
I'm
talking about voting. I'm talking about showing up to a meeting.
If you don't show up, you can't vote. Therefore, if you're excusing someone, you're excusing them
That's not what this 3.6.
of the responsibility of coming to the meeting and vote.
You're reading that into it because
Yeah, that-
3.6 clearly states
It's voting.
it's voting.
It has nothing to do about attendance to a meeting. If somebody doesn't show up to a meeting
Required to vote.
and does not give me notice, it is an unexcused, and if I get a couple of those, I'm going to the township board with it to let them know that I have a planning commissioner that doesn't give notice, that doesn't pick up their packets, and doesn't show up to meetings. And I don't need them here. I need somebody that's gonna show up. I'll make that decision, and if anybody wants to challenge it, challenge it. Talk to an attorney. I don't care. That's the way I'm voting until somebody tells me different. Meeting adjourned.